I remember the last time that I stood here. It was exactly 13 years ago. And I can remember being in this hall and doing my exams right in that corner over there. I remember worrying about my entire future and also doing my stage show right here. Pursue a passion. See, when I came here, I had one main goal in mind. It was a little unconventional, but I wanted to be a stage and close-up magician, just like the ones I'd seen on TV. I literally couldn't perceive anything else. Now, it wasn't that when I was here that I was popular or unpopular. In fact, I didn't really fit into any particular group. But when I learned magic, I all of a sudden went from being in the background to an entire school knowing me as that guy who did the magic. And I loved the magic. In fact, I would spend entire ICT lessons scrolling through the internet, looking at future tricks that I would like to buy for a show that one day I would like to put on. And when I was in sixth form, I put that very show on. We put it on here. We actually laid out in this hall about 90 seats, hoping that 90 people would turn up. But we had to start the show late because just under 250 people had turned up, and we had to raid the classrooms for all their chairs and put them in the hall. In fact, it was the biggest one-man show that this school had ever seen. And it was a great night. It definitely overran, but no one seemed to care about that. They stayed till the end and they watched the entire thing. And for me, it was the first glimpse of what life could be like if I pursued a passion. Now, although I was doing magic at the time, I was also in sixth form and I was studying. I was studying philosophy, performing arts and psychology because my other dream was to be a psychologist that hopefully could combine magic with what it did ideally. However, I wasn't particularly gifted when it came to schoolwork and academia, but I was driven by a passion. In fact, I was at the lower set for my science GCSE. And I remember a teacher coming to me and asking me, you know, are you sure that you want to do psychology A-level because you might struggle? But I was pretty determined that I was going to do it. So I used to actually skip PE classes a couple of times a week just to revise the science textbook. I knew it cover to cover. I got to be one of the only students to skip classes to learn another class. And when it came to my GCSE exam in science, I passed and they let me do psychology. And I was incredibly happy and I was ready to go. I was so keen, in fact, again, I used to skip lunch times in sixth form just to revise the psychology textbook because I was determined to be a successful psychologist. However, that all kind of changed in my second year of sixth form in psychology. It became more about graphs and statistics and I wasn't ready for that. I actually really struggled with numbers. And I began to fall out of love with psychology altogether. When it came to the exam, I didn't really understand what it was that I was writing. And in that moment, I literally felt all of my hopes and dreams of being that psychologist slipping away. I finished the exam completely unsure of what I'd just written. And I also noticed that I finished the paper a good bit in advance of everyone else in the room. And I just sort of sat there and I looked around and I wondered why it was taking everyone else so long. It wasn't until we were asked to put our pens down and stop that I noticed a 15-marker question that I had missed on the back of the paper. It was in that moment that I knew that I wasn't going to be passing this final exam. I knew I wouldn't be getting into university to study psychology, and I knew I wasn't going to be a successful psychologist. I needed to figure out another option. Now I remember when it came to exams results day, I remember my mum calling me up and giving me the results down the phone. Performing arts, A, obviously. Philosophy was like a D or an E, and psychology was a U. And I remember in that moment feeling like my entire future was utterly hopeless. I felt like a failure. I felt like I let everybody down. And I can remember my parents saying, well, suppose you better get a job then. And I did. I got a little job in a local restaurant near me, washing dishes. I was eventually promoted to being a waiter, which I wasn't much good at because I kept forgetting people's orders, but I'd always make up for it with a card trick or two at the end. And making people laugh and entertaining people like that, it really made me feel good. It was something I was actually good at and it made me feel capable. And then from being a waiter, I got promoted to be a bartender, which I was equally terrible at because I could barely pull a pint and I didn't know all the differences between all the wines that we had on offer. But then the bar opposite said, hey, why don't you come to us? You could be a magician bartender. So I did that. I went over there. They said, we'll pay you more. So I went over and became a magician bartender. Eventually the manager who hired me there, he was replaced by another manager, and then that manager sacked me because, and I quote, you entertain the customers too much, which was fair because it took about 5 minutes to pull a pint at the time. And then I found myself having no job. I had a few gigs coming in, but not much. I used to go down to the local pizza restaurant near us, and I used to do close-up magic for 2 hours for 20 quid and a pizza just to give out my business cards. And slowly business did in fact grow, and I got better. I learned better tricks and I started to perform in better venues. And long story short, I went on to have an entire career in magic, meeting people that I otherwise would have never met before. I remember when I was 18 years old performing for Katy Perry for her birthday party. Later down the line, I both met and performed for Prince Harry as well, and a bunch of other really interesting people. I had a full career that allowed me to live the life I wanted to do, buy a house, buy the cars I wanted to buy. Life was pretty good. Be adaptable. Fast forward to 2020, and that's when COVID hit, and my whole career came crashing down. 13 years in the making, wiped out completely. Venues were closed, there were no shows, no gigs, no nothing. To say it was daunting was an understatement. But what it did give me was time to reflect. And I thought about my career, and I asked myself, am I in the right place? Am I happy? And to my surprise, the answer was no. I'd been unhappy for quite some time. I was just too distracted by both life and work to see it. I was unhappy in my relationship, I was unhappy in my job, and thinking about it, I was unhappy in myself. And I found myself thinking, when I'm 65, do I want to be doing close-up magic for corporate events for people that don't care if I'm there or not? And I thought, well, no. And then something clicked. I began thinking about what I originally wanted to do before the magic took off, who I wanted to be. I started to think about being that psychologist again, and wondering if the dream that I'd left behind many years ago in these walls could possibly become a reality. I tentatively looked up university courses around counselling psychology, as I liked the idea of being a therapist. And to my surprise, I was fortunate enough to be accepted last minute into a course. Someone took a chance on me. They gave me a place. And I'm glad they did, because 3 years later, I completed a counselling psychology degree with a first. And then I later went on to complete a higher master's degree as well. Guys, I want you to know something. I started this whole journey in this school feeling like my future was utterly hopeless, just because I didn't make the grade. Feeling like my entire life was over because a piece of paper said I wasn't ready. And annoyingly, it was right. I wasn't ready, for that at least. But I was ready and determined to work hard and pursue my passion, my magic. And I never let go of that. And then COVID came and completely turned that side of my life upside down as well. And again, I felt like my life was completely over. But it wasn't. It was just changed. See, the suffering lies in seeing life's challenges as barriers rather than opportunities, obstacles to overcome. Thinking that this is how life is now, therefore this is the way it's always going to be, is untrue. In fact, change is the only thing you could be certain of in life. For better or for worse, nothing stays the same. You've got to be willing to adapt. And I had an idea of who I wanted to be, a vision, and I ran with that idea. And the journey wasn't easy. It still isn't. Only the other day I had a lecturer turn around to me and say that she was disappointed in the piece of work I'd done. And I'm 31 years old now. It's not supposed to be easy. People aren't always easy either. Life is supposed to challenge you. It's what shapes you. But the idea, to me, of not pursuing a dream and then regretting it is far more scary and far more daunting than working towards a future that I have to create myself. See, if you put off something that's important to you because of the fear of failure, I promise you that will only lead to feelings of regret. and that will only reinforce the false belief that I am not capable. And that regret stings far deeper and for far longer than failure ever does. And I'm going to tell you guys a secret that probably no one has ever told you before. All the enjoyment in life, all the smiles, all the successes, everything you want, all the best, most worthwhile things are the other side of fear. Literally everything. Sure, you can argue that a ship is safer on land than it is at sea, but that isn't what ships are designed for, and it isn't what you are designed for. And you're just beginning this journey, and you're going to meet challenges, rejections, setbacks, rude people, nice people, jealous people, mostly troubled people. Some people aren't going to like you very much, whilst others will think you're incredible. That doesn't matter. What matters is that deep down, you like you. And that comes from being in line with who you want to be. Be the kind of person that you're proud of. Be the example that you wish to see in this world. I began this journey with nothing but a U in psychology and a passion for a future that I was determined to have. And I'm pleased to announce that at the end of this month, I am about to start a PhD in health and psychology to become a doctor. That's from a U to a PhD. It is entirely possible. If you pursue a passion, you won't mind putting in the work because it won't feel like work. It will feel like an investment. The journey at times is scary. Of course it is. It's scary because it matters. But I want you to imagine who you could be and aim single-mindedly at that. I'd like to leave you on this note here. Remember that you are not defined by what a piece of paper says about you. You are not defined by what other people think and say about you. You are defined by your character, how you choose to act in this world, how you choose to treat people that are of zero benefit to you, the vulnerable, the less fortunate, even your worst enemy. You're defined by how driven and determined you are, how willing you are to self-reflect, how you choose to take care of yourself and others in this world, what you stand for in this world, who you stand for in this world. Pursue a purposeful passion. If you like gardening, grow. If you like writing, write. If you like singing, sing. If you like running, run. If you like computers, create. If you like TikTok, I don't know, slay. I don't care what you do. Just don't waste your time fulfilling other people's dreams. Have one of your own and nurture it. Find out what you're passionate about and invest in it. Some people may laugh and they may mock. However, that is not a reflection of your ability to achieve. It's more a reflection of their inability to perceive. Don't yield to those with such short-sightedness. You are made for more. And if you don't know what you want to do right now, that is absolutely fine. Just plant the seed. There's no rush. It helps if you ask yourself the question, who don't I want to be in this world? Now I'm going to tell you one final secret before I leave you. And I'm not sure how much the teachers in here are going to like this, but it's a lie. It's a lie that if you fail here, your life is over. Take it from an adult. Life is full of second, third, fourth, fifth chances. If you are willing to take them and say yes to life, pursue something that you are passionate about, because it's that inner spark that will drive you through those periods of self-doubt. And self-doubt will come, and it is far louder than anything else. We are often the biggest obstacles standing in our own way. If you take anything away today, know this. It's that doubt has killed more dreams than failure ever will. The key to your success is a passion-led mindset. You are defined by how you choose to act in this world, how you choose to behave in the face of adversity, not what a piece of paper says about you. Your success is predicated on you and your attitudes. And we already know this here, because after all, here, success is an attitude. Although that's all from me today, this is just the beginning for you. So I thank you so much for your time and your patience. Thank you.